Deep within an enchanted wood, where sunlight dripped through ancient trees like honey, there lived a young fox named Felix. Felix was a curious fellow, with fur as red as autumn leaves, and a bushy tail that twitched with excitement at the mere whisper of adventure. Every morning when the sun peeked over the eastern hills, Felix would wake up, and the forest would wake up with him. The birds would chirp their greetings. The leaves would rustle secrets in the wind. The frogs would croak their morning songs from the riverbanks, and the babbling brooks would chuckle as they tumbled over smooth stones. It was a symphony of sound that filled Felix's heart with joy and his ears with delight. But one morning, oh, what a morning it was! When Felix awoke, he found that the forest was unnaturally silent. The birds had stopped their cheerful tweets. The leaves were still, and the frogs were strangely quiet. Even the gurgling brook seemed to have fallen silent. Startled by the sudden hush, Felix dashed out of his den. He sniffed the air, his nose twitching. Everything seemed normal. The sky was a brilliant blue. The flowers were blooming, and not a single leaf was out of place. Yet there wasn't a sound to be heard. As minutes turned into hours, Felix's unease grew. Where were the birds? Why had the leaves become so still? And where were the soothing sounds of the brook? Had the forest itself fallen silent? Determined to find answers, Felix set off on a whimsical adventure through the whispering woods. He trotted past trees that had been whispering secrets since before time began. Now they stood silent and still, their leaves hanging heavy with unspoken words. He crossed a babbling brook, or what used to be a babbling brook, its waters stagnant and lifeless. Disheartened by the eerie quiet, Felix sank down on a moss-covered stone, his bushy tail drooping. Suddenly, a wise old owl, with feathers like polished silver, landed on a nearby branch. Startled, Felix looked up and exclaimed, "Oh, wise Echo, can you help me? The forest is silent, the birds don't sing, the trees don't whisper, and the brook won't babble. Can you tell me why?" Echo, the owl, hooted softly, her amber eyes filled with ancient wisdom. "Little Felix, the sounds of the forest have faded, because its creatures have stopped listening to one another. They've forgotten the language of the woods, the whispers of the wind, the babble of the brook, the song of the birds." Felix's heart sank. Was the forest doomed to silence forever? Could he find a way to bring back its fading song? Determined to help his forest friends, Felix embarked on a quest to awaken the sounds that had vanished. He ventured deeper into the woods, following a faint glimmer of light that peeked between the trees. The light led him to a clearing where a towering oak stood bathed in a soft, golden glow. As Felix approached, he heard a faint whisper. "Who's there?" Startled, Felix froze. "Don't be afraid," the whisper said. "I haven't heard a kind word in so long that I almost forgot how to speak kindly." From behind the oak, a tiny water sprite emerged. Her gossamer wings, once shimmering with rainbow hues, were now dull and limp. "Oh, little sprite," asked Felix, "why are your wings so dim, and why does the brook no longer babble?" "When the forest fell silent," she whispered, "I lost my voice. Without the music of the woods, my magic faded and my wings grew dim." Felix wanted to help, but what could he do? As he pondered, the water sprite continued, "If you can find the source of the silence and bring back the song of the forest, my wings will regain their color and the brook will babble once more." With a determined nod, Felix set off again, this time in search of the source of the silence. The path was tricky, winding through thorny thickets and over moss-covered logs, but Felix pressed on, his ears pricked for any sign of sound. Finally, he reached a place unlike any he'd seen before. It was a cavern hidden beneath an arch of roots, and a strange hush seemed to emanate from within. Taking a deep breath, Felix slipped inside. The air grew cooler as he ventured deeper, and soon he saw something that made his heart leap. Inside the cavern was an immense tree, its branches reaching towards the vaulted ceiling, its leaves a vibrant green, and from its trunk flowed a silvery stream that babbled merrily. It was the missing babbling brook. But how could this be? How could life flourish in such a dark place? Suddenly, a large beetle with emerald wings and legs that clicked like castanets landed on Felix's shoulder. "Russell," said the beetle, "what brings you to the hollow tree of hush?" Felix explained about the silent forest and his quest to bring it back to life. Russell sighed. The hollow tree of hush has held the forest's sound since time began. But when its creatures stopped listening, even its magic couldn't hold on to the fading melodies. That's why the forest is silent. Its creatures have forgotten the language of the woods. Russell explained that the last leaf on the hollow tree held the forest's song, but it was too high for Felix to reach. "Perhaps I could help," said a voice from above. Looking up, Felix saw a small mouse wearing spectacles perched on a leaf. "I'm Professor Squeak, and I believe I can help you reach the last leaf." With Professor Squeak's guidance, Felix climbed higher and higher. As he neared the top of the tree, the sounds of the forest grew louder in his ears. He could hear the babbling of the brook, the rustling of the leaves, and the sweet songs of the birds. Just a little further. The professor squeaked encouragingly. Finally, Felix reached the last leaf. It was a vibrant red maple leaf, and as he touched it, a melody filled his heart. It was the song of the forest. Closing his eyes, Felix listened to its ancient rhythm, feeling its joy and wonder. As the melody swelled within him, a warm light began to glow around him. Suddenly the light burst forth, shooting up the hollow tree of hush and filling the forest with a brilliant radiance. As the light spread, the forest awoke. The birds burst into song, the trees rustled greetings, and the flowers swayed to the music of the woods. Overjoyed, Felix raced through the forest, his bushy tail waving like a flag of victory. The water sprite, seeing the returning colors of the forest, cried out in delight, her gossamer wings shimmering with renewed magic. She fluttered around Felix, her laughter echoing through the trees. From that day on, the forest was filled with music once more. The creatures learned to listen to each other's stories, and the sounds of the woods echoed through the ages, reminding all who lived there of the importance of kindness, patience, and bravery. And so, dear listener, whenever you hear the song of the forest, remember the tale of Felix the Fox and the day the forest fell silent, for it is a reminder that the most enchanting melodies are often the ones we make together. The end.